I've been a little busy over the last week, so I was looking for a simple topic for this week's video, and I landed on a comment that I received on our YouTube channel asking about testing the margin availability before placing trades, and then a reply to my response to that said, yes, this is easy in MetaTrader 5 but can't be done in MetaTrader 4, which I found quite curious. So this video is going to be showing you how to test the margin availability before you place a trade. And what I'm going to be doing is calculating the maximum number of lots that you can place before you run out of available margin. Now I've started here in the MetaTrader 4 editor. I will be doing this for MetaTrader 5 as well, but what I'll do is just write it for MetaTrader 4 and then make the changes to make this compatible for MetaTrader 5. I've already opened up a file called margincheck.mq4 in the margin check folder underneath Orchard here. And I've put the beginnings of the script here. I'm writing this as a script, but I'm going to be creating a function to check the number of lots that you can trade, so you'll easily be able to move that function into an expert advisor if you want to. The first thing I'm going to do is create an enum for the mode of checking the margin, because there are three things you could check the margin against. You could check it against total available margin, you could check it against the available margin before you reach the call margin limit, or the available margin before you reach the stop out limit. So I'm going to create an enum, and when I write the function, you'll pass that enum value in to determine which of those three modes you want to use. So the three values here, lots all will use all of the available margin in the calculation, lots call will use the available margin until you reach the call level, and stop out will use the margin until you reach the stop out level. And in case you're not familiar with these, the call level is the point where your broker will ask you to deposit additional funds because your margin's getting too low, and the stop out level is where your broker will begin to close your trades because your margin is too low. I'm going to start by writing the function before I go into using it here. Now this function will take the symbol, and I'm going to be passing in the chart symbol when I run the test, but it takes a symbol and the mode from this enum that we created. And it will simply calculate the number of lots that can be traded based on the available margin, but it does not do any rounding or normalization of the number of lots. So this will just return a double, and it's up to you later to convert this into a number of lots that can actually be traded by normalization. Now what I want to do here is grab a few values so I can perform this calculation. The first one I'm going to capture is just the total free margin. In MetaTrader 4 there's a simple function for that called account free margin. I also need the account equity because I'm going to be using that in the calculation of the call level and the stop out level. And again, in MetaTrader 4, simple function account equity. Now to calculate the stop out level and the call level, there is a stop out mode which will tell me whether stop out and call levels are being calculated as a percentage of equity or as a fixed value. In almost all cases they're a percentage of equity. So I'm declaring enum account stop out mode, just calling the variable stop out mode, and then I'm casting, let me wrap this around so it's easier to see. And I'm casting the account info integer, account margin stop out mode or SO mode, and I'm casting that to an enum account stop out mode, and that tells me the mode, whether it's going to be percentage or value. And now I get the two margin levels, the margin call level and the stop out level, and that's with account info double, account margin SO call, and account margin SO SO. Now, depending on whether this stop out mode is a percentage or a value, these are going to come back as a percentage or value amount. If they are a percentage amount, then I need to convert these and get an actual value, and if they're a value, I can simply use them directly. And so I'm declaring this value here, call value, which is going to be the margin call value. And if the stop out mode is account stop out mode %, then the stop out or the call value is the equity multiplied by the margin call, that's this value that we got here, divided by 100, because this is going to come back as a %. And if the stop out mode is not stop out mode %, then the call value is just whatever came back in that margin call. And now I do the same for stop out value. If the stop out mode is percentage, then it's equity multiplied by margin stop out from here, divided by 100. And if not, then it's just margin stop out. So now I have the call value, which tells me the value level in your account in whatever your base currency is, where the broker will make a call, and the stop out value where the broker will begin to close your trades. And now what I want to do is calculate how much margin I have available. So free margin told me just total free margin, but remember I'm passing in this mode, so I may want to adjust the margin available depending on whether I'm using the call value or the stop out value. So I'm simply declaring another variable here that I'm calling available margin, and I'm beginning by setting that to free margin. And then I'm using a switch statement on the mode to adjust this if I need to. So if I've passed in the mode as margin lots call, then the available margin is equal to free margin minus call value. So if my free margin is say $5,000 and the call value is at $3,000, I will have $2,000 available. And then I'm doing the same for case margin lots stop out, and here the available margin is free margin minus the stop out value. And at this point I have most of the information I need. What I need though is how much margin is required to trade a single lot of whatever the symbol is. Remember we passed in symbol here to this function. So I need to know how much margin is required to trade a single lot of that symbol. In MetaTrader 4 there is the market info function, passing in the symbol and mode margin required. And that will give me the amount of margin required to trade one lot of that symbol. And after that, calculating the number of lots is very simple. So the number of lots that I can trade is the available margin, that's this adjusted available margin, divided by that margin per lot. Simply tells me how many lots I can trade with the margin that I have available. And remember, there might be some rounding that you need to apply to this lots later. Now it's also worth mentioning at this time, if you have a hedging account, which most people do, then if you have a long position and you're attempting to take out a short in the same currency, once you've taken out the long and the short, the margin for those two will net off. But typically, the broker is going to look at the margin required for your next trade independently. So you need to make sure you have enough margin available to make that trade regardless of the trades you already have open. Otherwise, you may get an error when you're trying to place the trade. And then I can simply return the number of lots, and that's my function to give me the number of the number of lots that I can trade based on free margin. Now I want to run a number of examples here using each of the three different modes. So I'm just going to create another function that will call this for testing purposes. Now this function, let me wrap this around a little so you can see it better. I'm going to be calling this how many lots function and simply passing in the mode, and that's going to just print you can trade number of lots in currency. And I'm calling the margin lots free function here, passing in the symbol from the chart and the mode and symbol there, and that will go into the string format. And then I'm simply using message box to display the result here, that message, and enum to string mode will put a heading on that message box that shows me which mode we've used. And I've only created this function to make it a little easier to run three different calls. And so I'm just calling how many lots three times, margin lots all, call, and stop out. Let me compile that. And I'll jump into MetaTrader 4. Now, in MetaTrader 4 now, and I've opened up the Euro Pound chart simply because my account is in USD, so I wanted to make sure I had a cross-currency chart here. I have $3,000 of equity. This is just a demo account. $3,000 of equity in this account. And this tells me that if I use margin lots all, I can trade 13.25 lots in Euro Pound. If I want to only run down to the call level, then I can trade 3.31 lots. And if I want to trade down to the stop out level, I can trade 9.27 lots. Now the reason you may want to use call or stop out is that if you make a trade that will take you past the call level, you'll immediately get a call from the broker. So you may not want to do that. And if you make a trade that takes you past the stop out level, then your broker may begin immediately closing positions that you have. So you may not want to do that either. So that's why I've got these three different modes that you can use. Just to help with understanding, I'm going to add another message box in here where I'm going to print basically all the working values that I came up with here so that you can see them. So when I run this the next time, it will not only have the one message box for this, but before that it will have one with a detailed breakdown. So this message box, it's still going to show the mode in the heading of the message box, but I'm going to be showing the equity, the free margin, stop out mode, call level, stop out level, call value, stop out value, available margin, margin per lot, and the lots calculated. So you can see basically all of the workings that I've gone through. So now running that again, this is the margin lots all. My equity is 3,000, which we can see already in my trade window. My free margin is 3,000 because I don't have any trades open at the moment. The stop out mode is %. This account has my call level set at 75% and my stop out level set at 30%. So the call value is 2,250, 75% of 3,000. The stop out value is 900, which is 30% of 3,000. And the available margin then is 3,000 because I have no used margin, and this is the all method, so it's allowing me to use all of the free margin, and that gives me margin per lot, which is 226.49, and that should be the same for all of the modes that I call. And that means I can trade 13.25 lots. 13.25 lots. Here, margin lots call. Now we're going down to the call value, which is 2,250, which means that I only have 750 available margin. Margin per lot's the same. Lots 3.31. I can trade 3.31 lots in euro pound. And margin lots stop out. The stop out level is at 30%, which is $900. So I've got $2,100 of available margin, which gives me 9.27 lots. So that extra message box is just for display purposes in the demonstration. So now I've moved to MetaTrader 5. I already have the beginnings here, and I'm going to just copy all of that code from MetaTrader 4 to begin with. And there will only be a small number of changes that we need to make to this. Enum is the same. I'm still calling this how many lots, this little example function that I have. And there are no changes in that example function. First change I need to make, this account free margin. That function from MetaTrader 4 doesn't exist in MetaTrader 5. They're using a more generic function for this. And that is the account info double function, passing in the argument account margin free. Gives me the same result back, but there's a different function for MetaTrader 5. Likewise, the account equity function doesn't exist in MetaTrader 5. And that's replaced with account info double account underscore equity. Most of the rest of this doesn't change until we get to margin per lot. This market info function doesn't exist, and there is no comparable simple function in MetaTrader 5. I'm going to write a function of my own. So I'm going to call my function margin required and pass in the symbol. And then we'll scroll down and I'll put the margin required function down here. So what MetaTrader 5 does, it supplies this function, order calc margin, and it takes a number of arguments. The type, which is the order type, the symbol, number of lots, where remember in MetaTrader 4 the function gave back the margin required for one lot. This order calc margin lets me get any number of lots, but I want to get a one lot margin here. The current market price, and it returns that value in rate. This is actually a by reference argument. And order calc margin returns a boolean to say whether it was successful or not. So first I declare a rate variable, and I'm just setting that to 0 to begin with. I don't care about the order type, whether it's buy or sell, and it actually makes no difference in the result that comes back from order calc margin. So I'm just using order type buy. I'm getting the current price using symbol info double, passing the symbol and symbol underscore ask, which is the current price for a buy trade. And then I pass those values in the type, buy, symbol, one lot, current market price, and that comes back in rate. Now, if this AutoCalc margin fails, I'm simply returning 0, so 0 rate. Otherwise, I'm returning the rate that has come back here. And that will give me the margin required for one lot. Same thing that I got in MetaTrader 4. And that should be all I need. Let me just check compile. And I can go and demonstrate that. Before I do, I just want to show something. I'm going to make a small change to this. This is just to show something. I've copied the margin required function, called it margin required check. Still takes a symbol, same double rate, type is buy. I'm getting the current market price, and I'm going to be building up this message which I'll display. And then I'm going through this loop for I equals 0, I is less than 5. So I'm going through 5 different iterations. And I'm calling AutoCalc margin then the same call, but I'm changing the price each time. So price plus I multiplied by 0.5. So if I'm on euro pound, this is half a euro. So it's quite a large move in that price each time I'm calling this. And then I'm just building up the messages to show what the result is that I'm getting back each time. And then I'm putting up a message box called multiple rates. And to call that, I'm going to put a call here, margin required check, passing in the chart symbol. I'll just comment these out for the time being. Let me compile that. All right. So when I run this now, I'm not going to be actually calculating lots per margin. I'm just going to be calling this one function to show the margin per lot required for the chart symbol for a range of different prices. So in MetaTrader 5, I'll drag this margin check onto the chart. And here are the range of prices. So I've got the required margin per lot for euro pound at this price is 226.48. And adding half a euro is 226.48 and 226.48 and 226.4. So I have no idea why that function is so complex, given that any price I pass in there will give me the same answer. The only thing I can assume is that it's part of the push by MetaQuotes to allow MetaTrader to trade stocks and not just foreign exchange and indices. And I guess as a side note, if there's anyone out there who is actually using MetaTrader to trade stocks, leave a comment. It'd be interesting to know, because there are far better tools out there for trading stocks. And I just think this kind of thing makes it more complex for trading indices and foreign exchange. But I've written the function here. I've done as the function AutoCalc margin requires. I've passed in the current market price, and I'm getting my rate per one lot back. Just go up here and remove that. Put those back. And if I compile this now, I'll get the same results that I had with MetaTrader 4, although this is a different account, so I'll have slightly different rates. And I have left in this long message. So calling margin check, margin lots all. Remember, this will use all of the free margin. I have in this account only $9,998.19, which is my free margin because I have no trade open. The stop out mode is still %. On this account, I have a call level of 50% and a stop out of 30%. So that gives me a call value, a stop out value, and the available margin 44.15 lots if I use all of the free margin. Using the call level, which is $4,999.10, I can trade 22.07 lots. And using the stop out level, which is 2,999.46, means I have available margin of 6,998. I can trade 30.91 lots. Just as a demonstration, I've opened a trade here. I just executed a buy. So now you can see in the trade window, I have a margin and I have a free margin, which is different to the balance on the account. So now if I run that, you can see my equity is 9997, but my free margin is 9974. And all of these calculations then will be based on amount available from the free margin. The call value and the stop out value are always based on a percentage of equity, not a percentage of free margin. And so that is the basic calculation of how many lots you are able to trade based on your available margin. You need the total free margin. You will need equity if your margin limits are set based on percentage, and if you're using them. You can get the margin call and the stop out, which are going to be returned as percentages in most cases, but they may be returned in actual dollar values. You'll need then to calculate the call value and the stop out value, which are based on equity. And then available margin is either the free margin if you're looking at total free margin, or it's the free margin minus whatever the limit is that you set. And then margin per lot gives you margin required, which is in one lot. And then your number of lots that you can trade is simply available margin divided by the margin per lot. And that's it for calculating your available lots. I've got the MQ5 version here on the left and the MQ4 version here on the right. They are almost identical, just those three functions that are different. The free margin, the equity, where I'm using account info double on MetaTrader 5. And on MetaTrader 4, I'm using account free margin and account equity. And then the margin per lot, where in MetaTrader 4, I use market info symbol margin required. And in MetaTrader 5, I'm calling margin required function, which I've shown below here, that uses the AutoCalc margin function built into MetaTrader 5. If you found this useful, then please click the like button. And if you want to see more of our videos, click subscribe. And then if you click the bell icon, you'll be notified when we release new videos. Thank you for watching.